everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Gary. By the time this video comes out, it'll only be a couple of days away from the FIFA World Cup draw, and I thought, what better video to do than a simulator of that tournament? Any of you who watched my live stream know I did this, but not in this sort of format and not showing it on screen, and I've managed to find a simulator online that follows all the rules, all the patterns, the pots, the draw schedule, absolutely everything is all in place. The most amazing thing about this simulator as well, it actually completes the playoffs and completes the group. So we're not guessing who these pot 4 teams are going to be. Welcome to those that are new here. Yes, this is an England fan channel, but every single person's welcome. It's an international football channel, really. So hit that subscribe button if you like your international football, and let's get into it. So here is the simulator, and what I'm going to do, I am going to probably draw it 2, maybe 3 times. We'll see how we get on. But I'm then going to give my thoughts on each individual group that is drawn and see where England come, obviously, but then pick out, if there are any, those sorts of groups of death that people always talk about when it comes to tournaments. So as I scroll down here, it literally just says simulate draw. So I simulate the draw, and at the bottom it gives us the simulated group. So let me just first go to the playoff page. According to the playoff page, Italy qualify as the pot 4 team, Ukraine as well from Europe, Turkey is the other team, Denmark is the other team, and then you've got Congo and Iraq who are the other 2 playoff qualifiers. So that settles that. The pots are therefore allocated as such, and now we get into the groups. So these are the groups all the way down to Group L, and we'll go through them now. So this is the first simulator draw. Group A is Mexico, Paraguay, Japan, and Italy. Now we talk about groups of death, and I already think maybe not a group of death, but this is a good group. This is a very, very competitive group. Mexico, who are the hosts, I put them as a bit of a dark horse, really. I think with them playing at home, with the atmosphere and the fan base they'll have around them, I think they're going to be a real threat at this tournament, potentially. Paraguay, obviously qualifying from CONMEBOL, you can never underestimate one of those teams. Japan, a lot of people's dark horses. They're a bit like Turkey from Europe, where every single tournament comes around, Japan are always everybody's dark horse, but they have qualified well. And that playoff team, Italy, now you can say what you want to say about Italy. Yes, they haven't been through the best form, and Italy at a tournament, they prove that when they get there, they are a threat, and they will be a threat. And that group is a absolutely fantastic competitive group to get it up and running, and I think we're going to struggle to get a harder group than that. Getting a winner out of that, I genuinely don't know. Italy are so difficult to sort of figure out. I know some third place teams will qualify as well, but I'm not going to pick those. I'm just going to pick probably the top 2 out of all these groups. And for me, in this one, I'm going to go with Mexico because of the home advantage, and Paraguay. I don't know, but I genuinely think that's a really, really tough group to pick. I really do. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Group B is Canada, Jordan, South Africa, and Austria. Austria would be absolutely thrilled to bits with that. Canada is the host nation alongside, obviously, Mexico and the US. Probably the best team. They don't have the best outstanding individual players, but they play most as a proper unit, if you like. Jordan, South Africa, I mean, I would put Austria as comfortable favourites in that group. I really would. Who that second place team would be, though, a lot of people are saying about South Africa, Jordan. It's a real difficult one, but I am going to stick with the hosts. I think when you're always a little bit unsure, I think always stick with hosts, because hosts will tend to have that little bit of an edge when they wouldn't usually. So I'm going to go for Austria and Canada to qualify from Group B. Group C is Portugal, Colombia, Ghana, and Qatar. Tough group. Another very, very tough group. I think Portugal, Colombia and Ghana are all pretty strong teams. Qatar, I think, are there to make up the numbers. Portugal, clearly heavy favourites in this group, and I would back Colombia to get second, but I think it will be a good shootout between Colombia and Ghana for that second spot. But another interesting group there. Group D, the final host nation, which is the United States, Scotland, Senegal and Turkey. I spoke about Group A being a potential group of death. What a group that is. In terms of sort of a level playing field. There's no absolutely outstanding team in there, but the United States are certainly going to be no pushovers in this tournament, again with that home advantage. In fact, I probably think more than any host nation, I think the US will have a sink or swim at this tournament. Scotland, I mean, England's B team or C team, however you like to put it. They're there. They've qualified. They qualified top of the group. I wouldn't expect Scotland to get out of this group. I really wouldn't. Senegal, I think, are probably the strongest team in this. Turkey, again, I go back to before. Turkey are always in with a shout, or people always think they are, then they usually always disappoint. So with that in mind, I'm going to stick with what I did with Canada and Mexico and back the hosts here. I'm going to go for Senegal and the United States to qualify out of Group D. Group E would be Germany, Haiti, Tunisia and South Korea. Germany, understandably, I think from everybody's perspective, would be overwhelming favourites for that group. South Korea, again, a tough team, and I think one that could go some distance at this tournament. Another team that is hard to judge. They don't really play many teams outside of friendlies that are really top tier. Tunisia and Haiti, I think Haiti are there to make up the numbers. Tunisia, I think they will be competitive. In Tunisia and South Korea, honestly, I think that's a flip of a coin. I really do. You know what? I'm going to back Tunisia to go through in that group. So Germany and Tunisia to qualify there. Group F is Belgium, Iran, Cape Verde and Panama. Look, Belgium aren't the team, obviously, of the recent 10 or 15 years. They are still a very good side, though, and they are comfortable favourites in that Group F if it was to draw like that. And I think then Iran, surely are rubbing the hands there, potentially to get through. They would be absolutely thrilled to bits for that. I'm not giving Cape Verde any chance, no matter what group they're in, of going through. I'm sorry. I hope they prove me wrong. That would be an absolute thing of fairy tales, but I just don't fancy Cape Verde at all. I don't know why. I don't watch every single international team. Just something tells me I would back Iran to come second in that group. Group G is Spain, Norway, Morocco, and Iraq. I would say this is the third group where you look at that and you think that's a tasty group. That is a very, very tasty group. Spain, I think comfortably, everyone would agree, are overwhelming favourites. Not only possibly for the tournament alongside France, maybe Argentina, but certainly within this group. Norway are everybody's dark horse. They qualified incredibly convincingly for this World Cup, and from Europe that is really saying something given how competitive those groups are. Morocco as well qualified extremely well and extremely easy, and it's almost the two dark horses of this World Cup. If you pick them, it's Norway and Morocco, depending on who you speak to. And then Iraq, sort of, you probably feel sorry for Iraq going into that group, don't you? I am going to back the two European nations though, and with Haaland up front, I just think Norway could potentially really be a threat at this competition. I am going to back Spain and Norway. You can call it UEFA bias, but I do think UEFA is the strongest confederation in the world. So why wouldn't I pick Norway given how well they qualified? Group H is Brazil, Congo as the playoff winner, Saudi Arabia and Croatia. I think then Brazil, Croatia stand out as the overwhelming favourites for that group if that were to happen. Interesting match between Congo and Saudi Arabia. I think that would be a really interesting game. A game that you wouldn't usually see, is probably fair to say. And that is what the World Cup's all about. But Brazil and Croatia, I don't think there's anything more to be said there really than you'd expect those two teams to go through. So looking at this, it looks like England have been drawn in Group I alongside Uruguay, Curacao and Uzbekistan. First off, if this was the draw, I would take it. I would 100% take that. I would be very happy with that draw. England would be favourites, and it's not that Uruguay obviously couldn't beat England. We know historically the last time we drew Uruguay in a World Cup group, it didn't end well for England. But I do think England now are a level above Uruguay. I do believe that, but I think it would be a tough game. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, and as an England fan, I'd take that any day of the week. Group J is France, Ivory Coast, Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand in the same group would be chef's kiss, first and foremost. I would just love that. France, like Spain, one of my overwhelming favourites for this tournament, so no matter which group they're in, they are comfortable favourites to get through. I've written off Australia and New Zealand in other videos I've done, so I'm going to back Ivory Coast for this one. Group K would be Argentina, Denmark, Egypt and Switzerland. And I would say, is this the fourth or fifth really competitive group here? Argentina, I would back as favourites. They are the holders, so why wouldn't I? Denmark, though, they should have qualified automatically. They should have done so. They blew it against Scotland. Egypt have qualified well as well. And a lot of people are telling me, do not sleep on Egypt. I don't know a huge amount about them, but I think they are going to be one of those competitive teams. And Switzerland qualifying from UEFA are something not to be sniffed at. That is a tough group. Two European teams, big teams such as Argentina, and a really solid team such as Argentina to go through, but I don't think I could pick a second team for that one. Why not? I'm going to go for Egypt. And Group L, the final group, is the Netherlands, Ecuador, Ukraine and Algeria. And again, competitive, not one of the most exciting groups. Netherlands would be my favourites to go through there, and I would back Ecuador to finish second. So that's the first simulation. I'm going to do it again to see if any sort of themes come up. Every single time I've done this, by the way, England are routinely drawn in the second half, and this is obviously obviously I think to do with keeping some of these major nations separate as well. But let's redo it. So simulating the draw, and here we go again. So the first group is Mexico, Egypt, Uruguay, and Turkey. I think that's a really tough group for Mexico as well, and a really competitive one. Who do I have to go through on that? I've had a lot of Mexican fans commented on my channel saying, look, we're rubbish, even our press thinks we're going to go out. But look, why wouldn't I back the home nation? I always like to back the home nation as long as we're not playing them, particularly in the group stage. Nobody wants to see the home nation or one of the host nations go out early. So I'm going to back Mexico and call it historical bias, but I would back Uruguay then to go through with them. In Group B, you've got Canada, Ghana, Norway, and Iran. I think any team that draws Norway out of that pot 3 is likely to have a very, very difficult group. And Canada would be in that position here. I think that is a very tough group again for Canada. Honestly, maybe in this situation, Canada possibly wouldn't go through. I would back Norway to top that group. No, I'll go with Canada in second. I'm sticking to my home advantage. Norway and Canada to go through there. Group C is France, Senegal, Curacao, and Qatar. I think France and Senegal comfortably go through there, and I think again France would end up a really easy group. Senegal would definitely be a good contest for them though, but I think Curacao and Qatar would be struggling to get out of that. Group D is the United States, South Africa, South Korea, and Italy. Another interesting group. I think the US, I think they'd struggle. I think it's a difficult group, all the host nations in this round here. I'll back the US though, sticking with my theme. Come at me, but that's just what I'm saying. I think some of these groups are that tight, but I'm just going to go with home advantage. USA to go through. You know what? I can't not back it, even though Italy are just not great. I just feel like at tournaments, they'll just turn it on. So I would go for United States and Italy to qualify out of Group D. Group E is Netherlands, Jordan, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. I would go for Ecuador and Netherlands from this group, but I think Jordan and Ivory Coast would definitely be pushing for one of those third best place. Potentially could top the group. I think literally one result will swing it massively either way here, and I think every team would be in a shout of winning the group on the final game. But I think that's a really competitive group, but I would go for the Netherlands and Ecuador. Group F is Portugal, Japan, Ukraine, and Panama. This time round, I'm going to go with Portugal. I'll back Japan. I'll back Japan in this one. Portugal and Japan to go through there. Group G is Argentina, Uzbekistan, Croatia, and Cape Verde. Can't remember what the last groups were, but Argentina, Croatia, comfortably favourites to go through there. Uzbekistan and Cape Verde, I think, would be very unlucky if they drew that. Group H. Now, this is a group. This is a group. So we've got England, Iraq, Scotland, and Morocco. That would be a very tough group for England. And it's not that I'm scared of the Scottish. It's just I think Scotland would play that occasion better than what we would, the same way that occurred in the Euros. I just think it overcomplicates it for England. As much as I want to see England-Scotland at a World Cup, I think it does overcomplicate it at a group stage, and I'd rather not see it. Morocco, going back to what I said last time, are everybody's dark horse, or one of the dark horses of this contest. And Iraq, I'll be honest with you, from my perspective, a little bit of an unknown. So I'd back England, obviously, to win that group, but I think there'll be some tough games there, and I don't think England will be getting 3 wins from 3. I would back Morocco, though, to go through as second place. Group I, Belgium, Austria, Haiti, and Paraguay. Tough group, very tough group, and I think this is a group actually where Belgium may not qualify from. I think this could be the first group I've looked at where you could potentially see an upset if you see Belgium going out of the group stage as such. I think Austria and Paraguay would potentially beat Belgium and get the better of them. I would back those two to go through, Belgium finishing third. So yeah, I think Belgium would be struggling out of that group. Group J is Spain, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, and Congo. Again, I'm backing Spain, Colombia as well. I think Saudi Arabia and Congo will do well to get out of that group at all. I think that's pretty straightforward. Group K, another tough one. I'm sure Group K was tough last time, and that's Brazil, Denmark, Tunisia, and Switzerland. I think that's twice in a row Denmark and Switzerland have both been drawn in the same group. It was Argentina last time, but Brazil this time, and then Tunisia. That is a tough group. That's the toughest group in this round. I'd back Brazil to go through. I think they're one of most people's top 5 favourite teams, so I'll definitely back those to go through. I mean, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm really finding this hard. I'm just going to split them down the middle and sod it. I'll go for Tunisia on this group. I don't know. I just let Brazil and Tunisia to go through on that one. I find that really tough. In Group L, it's seen Australia and New Zealand drawn together again alongside Germany and Algeria. Germany to go through there, battle it out between Is it between Australia and New Zealand? I know very little about New Zealand at all. I've seen some of the results Australia's been getting, but Algeria, I think, are a competitive team. Maybe Germany and Algeria go through there because Australia and New Zealand, I think that sort of derby would maybe cancel each other out, guarantee them a draw, which may be a good result. But I think Algeria could get points against each one of those teams. And so for me, Germany and Algeria go through. So yeah, that's it for the draw. And I think probably the most interesting thing from this is that the group of death is what we used to know them as. I don't think there's really going to be a group of death. There's going to be competitive groups, but I think those groups of death where a top team is at risk of not qualifying from the group is going to be few and far between. I think all the top nations are going to go through because of the expansion of this tournament. I hope I'm wrong, because ultimately those things are exciting, and I hope that big team is in England. The playoffs are going to be key. I think Italy and Denmark could be two real tough teams to get in your group out of pot 4, and I do think if you're drawing Norway from pot 3, whoever those teams are from pot 1 and pot 2 that Norway are going in with, that is going to be one of the tough groups as well. I will be live streaming the draw Friday night, so hit that subscribe button. Please join me. It's going to be such a great occasion. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all on my next video.